Happy New Year. I thought I'd start making a weekly video journal about my writing progress as I work toward the goal of becoming a full-time author by the end of 2023. This is episode number 1. So I've been reading extensively on book marketing and advertising, listening to podcasts, and talking to people who are already in a position that I want to be in later. And after all that, so far, I've redesigned several book covers so that they, fit the genre better. Revamped my website. I've learned how to make TikTok videos, something I never thought I would do. But don't worry, there is no dancing in my videos. I've returned to the Werewolf Saga, which is something I wanted to do anyway. But all the market research tells me that people want to read books that are part of a series. And so this is the series that I already had established. And so I'm returning to it. On that note, I'm about 75,000 words into the new book, which is called Firstborn. It takes place about 15 years after the events of Nadia's children. Joey, Shara's son, is the main focus of the book. I made this snap decision to jump into this book on November 1st, the first day of National Novel Writing Month. I had absolutely no plan, no outline, didn't know where I was going as I started this book. And so for a while, it was just like, oh, this sounds like something cool to happen, and I throw it in. But last night, I outlined the last 8 chapters. I know where I'm going now. And I think is all going to come together and be a decent book. We'll see. Hopefully by the time I update this next week, I'll have the book finished and can talk about it a little bit more. Another thing I'm working on right now is a fantasy project that I started way back in the late 1980s. I've tinkered with it off and on since then. Had other people look at it and make some suggestions. Just grown as a writer. So I'm going to be publishing the first novella. That'll be the first thing I publish in 2023. It's called The Warlord. It's about a young man named Tarad who comes from a mountain village into the big city where he's going to try to find some help to fight against people who are capturing and enslaving his people. Instead, he ends up in a tournament to become the warlord of a rich nation that has not been at war for a very long time. Stuff happens. It doesn't work out quite the way that he thought it would. But that'll be the first thing that I have published this year. Today, I was busy. I set up a Patreon page. If you don't know what that is, it's modeled after the old patrons of medieval time, where they would sponsor an artist, basically provide for his living expenses. A lot of authors have done this. I was kind of leery about it because I don't really want to ask for handouts, but better writers than me are doing it, so I thought I would jump on. I put 4 levels in mine. There's one that's just a tip jar, where you just agree to pay $1 a month. The most expensive one, the gold level, is $15 a month, and for that you get, the look at chapters of stuff I'm currently working on, but you also get every book I publish as an ebook for free for as long as you are a member at that level. Anyway, it's not launched yet. I hope to have that up and running by the next time I do an update. So I hope you will support me on that. I also set up BookFunnel. BookFunnel is a way for me to provide one thing, is the gifts that I promised in my newsletter and the Patreon. If I understand right, I can also take part in a lot of promotional stuff with other authors and provide free books, or even sell books myself without having to go through Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever. What else? Oh yeah. In each of these videos, I do want to plug a book from my backlist. And today's book is Amara's Prayer. This was first put together as my graduate thesis at the University of Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner. That was finished in 2004. I had 3 really great professors who worked with me on this. One was an English professor, and at the time at least, he was the head of the literary journal. There was also J. Madison Davis, a published author, and he was a professor of professional writing. And then there was another professor who was an anthropologist. So it was heavily edited by them. And then it was first accepted for publication in 2013 by Bad Moon Books, just before they closed up shop. Something that happens to me a lot with my books. I got the rights back and republished it under my own Moonhowler Press, and got to keep Kirk Albert's fantastic artwork for the cover. So that's there. The book came about because of 2 questions I was asking myself at the time. The first one was, how much can a person forgive before hitting their limit? One individual in particular did some pretty nasty stuff to me toward the end of my undergraduate time, and I'm not one to let a grudge go. So I still had a lot of hate for him and his accomplices. And basically I was looking at myself and wondering, how much could I forgive? Could I ever forgive what he did? The other question was, is your faith real if it's never tested? And that is just something I've always had an interest in, people's faith and where it came from, and will that really help them if they get into a bad situation? So you take those 2 questions and mix them together with Richard Adams' book, The Girl in a Swing, which I thought I had all figured out and was totally wrong. And you come up with Amara's Prayer. The book itself it's a book of self-discovery and redemption. It's about a wealthy Oklahoma City minister who his church has a mission in Brazil, and it burns down. And so he goes down there, and the only person he can find is this mysterious white woman. So he brings her home, and she wrecks his life. Now, I can tell you, if you are absolutely, totally averse to reading anything with Christian themes to it, you're not going to like this book. But also, if you're a Christian and you cannot stand to have your dogma messed with, you absolutely will not like this book. There are graphic depictions of sex and violence and some drug use. You'll never find this book at Mardell's. So, anyway, I hope you'll check it out. So if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, I hope you'll do that. You'll get updates and maybe some free stuff. There'll be a link below in the show notes to sign up for the newsletter, to go to my website, and a link where you can buy Amara's Prayer from whoever your favorite bookseller is. So that's all for this week. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again next week. Until then, keep howling.